Hello everyone, I am Renowned Zero and we are back talking about apparently the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers writer wants to virtue signal saying it was a mistake to cast black and Asian actors as the Black Ranger and the Yellow Ranger. None of us were thinking stereotypes. No, nobody as a kid cared about this whatsoever, including myself who was watching this show when they were younger, as a kid. Nobody cared at all. We as kids were just wanting a show that was entertaining. And even now, in my opinion, rather than giving their kids the Disney slop to watch that's infected with bull crap, you could let your kids watch this because you don't have to worry about any of that nonsense because they follow the script to a T almost with the Super Sentai series. So you could show your kids Power Rangers and you won't have to worry about them trying to groom your kids, unlike Disney. But it's funny that even after that, for I think the third season of this, or even halfway through the second season, they recast Dewey Trang and Walter Jones. Respectively, they then made the Yellow Ranger a black woman, and they made the Black Ranger an Asian man. So it's like, what are we doing? If you cared that much, then why are you now switching the quote-unquote stereotypes? Like, again, nobody cared about this at all. Definitely as a kid, nobody's really paying attention. A kid's not looking at a show and looking and paying attention to the characters' races. They're caring about if the show is entertaining. We're kids. But let's get into the article here from Variety. It says, Power Rangers writer says it was a mistake to cast black and Asian actors as Black Ranger and Yellow Ranger. None of us were thinking stereotypes. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers head writer Tony Oliver admits in the new investigation Discovery series, Hollywood Demons, that it was a quote-unquote mistake to cast a black actor to play the Black Ranger and an Asian actor to play the Yellow Ranger via Entertainment Weekly, because they consider the yellow-skinned people Asian, so that's what they're thinking, period. The series kicked off in August 1993 on Fox Kids with Walter Emmanuel Jones as Zach Taylor, the first Black Ranger, and Dewey Trang as Trini Kwan, the first Yellow Ranger. Oliver in the documentary that, quote-unquote, none of us were thinking stereotypes because it wasn't important. Now all of a sudden 30 years later, probably 35 years later, you want to start virtue signaling nonsense now. Nobody cares if the show is good. Nobody cared that suddenly the Black Ranger became Rocky, aka Johnny Young Bosch, an Asian guy, and nobody cared that Karen Ashley just randomly became the Yellow Ranger. We as kids didn't know that, but we all found out why that happened, because it was due to lack of increase in pay. We found that out many, many years later from the actors themselves that are still alive when these casting decisions were originally made, which is why the show ran for 2 seasons with the black character, the Black Ranger, and the Asian character, the Yellow Ranger. It wasn't until my assistant pointed out in a meeting one day that Oliver realized these castings were upholding stereotypes. Oliver added it was such a mistake, yet you were still continuing to have the Black Ranger be black and the Yellow Ranger be yellow up until your 3rd season. You even admitted it here. It wasn't until the 3rd season that it changed, apparently. Which, again, they made the Yellow Ranger a black woman and they made the Black Ranger an Asian man. Oh, no, sorry. I don't remember what the Yellow Ranger character was called, but it was Rocky. I know. Johnny Young Bosch's character was named Rocky. During the show's casting, Oliver said the Black Ranger seemed to have the swagger of the group, which Walter Jones absolutely had the swagger of the group from his dance fighting moves. And the Yellow Ranger was the peaceful one who tends to be the conscience of the group, which Dewey Trang absolutely played that role perfectly, and Walter Jones played his role perfectly. They were looking for actors who had these qualities. Oliver noted that Dewey was not our original Yellow Ranger, as it was Audrey Dubois who was originally cast in that role but left the show due to a pay dispute, to which they later, Dewey Trang, Austin St. John, and Walter Jones later left the show due to that exact same thing, it being a pay dispute, which, by the way, Audrey Dubois was a white woman. Trang was then cast and edited into the already shot pilot. Once again, nobody really cares about the race of these characters because the show is good for us kids, and it was taking footage from the Japanese version, which was Super Sentai. In the investigation Discovery documentary, camcorder footage taken on set by one of the show's stunt coordinators shows the cast was aware of the stereotypical castings for the Black and Yellow Rangers, as Jones says on camera, quote, "My name's Walter Jones, I play Zach, I'm black, and I play the Black Ranger." Go figure. But yet you still took the job, you still took the money. You could have walked away, but instead you took the money. Which, by the way, you still go to conventions constantly, knowing that people know that you are the original Black Ranger of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and people still line up to see you. because people liked you as the character of Zack and not because you're black. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers co-creator Shuki Levi previously told Complex that Jones and Trank's casting wasn't intentional at all. Again, nobody cares. At that time, Saban and I were new to this country. We didn't grow up in the same environment that exists in America with regard to skin color. Again, you are the only clowns that are now all of a sudden seeing skin color 35 years after this show came out. After Power Rangers became so popular in the US thanks to Super Sentai. And now it's an ever-growing comic book that a lot of people enjoy. We grew up in Israel where being a black person is like being any kind of color. It's not something we talked about all the time. It wasn't a big issue. The only people that talk about skin color being an issue all the time are your typical leftists. People that are conservative, that are on the right, that are libertarian. We don't care about the color of a character's skin if it's not something that's trying to be historically accurate. We recently had the issues with the fact that they used Yasuke in a Japanese setting for Assassin's Creed Shadows. He was a real person that we have barely any information on, but you know that Ubisoft, or anybody that's been paying attention, knows that Ubisoft used that character as a virtue signal and used him as a blank slate, and all of a sudden he's now the greatest samurai in the game 6 months after he went through samurai training, because apparently that's how that works. You go 6 months and apparently you're the greatest samurai ever, according to Ubisoft and a bunch of weirdos and virtue signalers writing the story of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yet everything about that character does not scream assassin in Assassin's Creed. The other character, Naoe, does. She absolutely screams assassin, which is who the character should have starred. The character should have just starred Naoe, similar to how Assassin's Creed Chronicles China had Xiao Jun. So, and nobody had a problem with Xiao Jun playing the main role of that game. If anybody actually played it, I did, completed it, 100%ed it, and I had no issue with the character of Xiao Jun. She's later mentioned in later Assassin's Creed games, but she didn't have a full-fledged game either. She had a 2.5D game of Assassin's Creed, not even a full-fledged game. So, this whole thing right here, nobody cares, bro. There's no reason for you to randomly virtue signal now, 35 years well removed from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, about race and skin color and the color of the Rangers. Everybody who was a kid loved this show that watched it. So nobody cared. And even so, most people were invested in Tommy and they were invested in Jason for the most part. No one was super invested in Zack, Trini, Kimberly, unless it was the relationship between Kimberly and Tommy and Billy. The main people were basically Jason and Tommy. So, again, why does this matter all of a sudden? I don't know. I guess they want a virtue signal 35 years later from the show's removal as it becomes less relevant as far as TV shows, because they really don't do shows anymore. It's basically all just kept up in comic books now. Thank you all for checking out this video. Really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, and returning viewers. If you do like this video, hit the like button, comment below how you feel about it, subscribe for more content, hit the bell for notifications, set the bell to all. That way you'll get a notification anytime I post a new video, go live on the channel. See you all on the next one. Peace.